Today we're going to be making a really easy and delicious chocolate cake. And here are the ingredients that we need. A half a cup of freshly brewed coffee, 1.5 cups of cake and pastry flour, 1.5 cups of granulated sugar, a half a cup of cocoa powder, and I am using Dutch processed cocoa powder in this recipe, a half a cup of vegetable oil, 2 eggs, a half a cup of milk, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, a half a teaspoon of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, and our last ingredient, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. For our first step, we're going to get our eggs into our bowl. I'm going to grab my mixer. I'll break up my eggs. And then I'll start adding in all of my granulated sugar. You can see that really nice creamy mixture already starting to happen here. And then all of my vegetable oil right in as well. The vanilla. That's good. And then I'll get the milk in. And that's going to make this really, really loose. And now we will add in our dry ingredients. So we've got our flour, our baking soda, baking powder, our salt, and our cocoa powder. And we'll get all of that in there. And then I'll grab the back of a spoon and just push all those little pieces right through. And there we have it. We'll grab our mixer again. Speed number 1. You do not want to have a dust cloud. Cocoa powder goes everywhere, so be very, very careful. And we'll just start mixing this in. And then our last ingredient, our coffee. Slowly pour that in, and that's it for the recipe. And we're just going to mix all of this together. Make sure you get right down to the bottom of your bowl. Make sure everything is incorporated, so move your mixer around really well. If you're doing that with a whisk, you can do the same thing. Get into all the corners. So this should take you about a minute or so. No more than that is needed. And I do have my oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And that looks good. And now we're going to go get our pan. What I have here is a 9-inch in diameter baking tin, and I've lined it with a little piece of parchment paper, and this is just going to make it really easy to get our cake out. And I'll just grab my bowl and start filling this. Make sure you use a spatula so that you get everything out of your bowl. And that's perfect. So what I'm going to do is transfer this to a pizza tray. And now I'm going to pop my cake into my oven for about 40 minutes. My cake has been resting for about 15 minutes. It's getting cool, and as it cooled, it actually sank. When I brought it out, it had a nice dome to it, but you can see that there's a little bit of sinking going on. And the reason for that, I should have left this in the oven for another 5 minutes so that it really stabilized inside. I thought the cake was completely done at the 40-minute mark, and it wasn't. You can see around the edges that the cake is actually pulled away from the cake tin, which is a good indication that the cake is ready to go, that you can bring it out of the oven, that it's completely baked. And that's what I did, but you can still see that I had a problem with it. So maybe it's a good thing that this did happen, just so that you could see that this happens to everyone. So that extra 5 minutes would have solidified all of those ingredients inside. What happened is when it started to cool and the hot air that was inside, it cooled, it just collapsed. However, this will still be a good cake, and at this point now we're just gonna grab a little spatula and I'll just go around. I just want to release it from the sides so that we get a nice break. And you remember that little piece of parchment paper we put at the bottom? Well, that's going to help us get this cake out. So to get it out, I'm going to put this on top and then we're going to flip it. And then I'm going to grab both of these together and I'm going to flip it over. And that's quite hot. But I do want to get it off before a lot of moisture starts really building up inside. And there we have it, and I'll just show you the bottom. Pretty clean. And then we can just grab and pull. You can see how dark this cake is. This is a really, really good cake. And then grab the other one. Firmly hold it, and then flip it over once more. And there we have it. Because I'm using this cake in another video, I'm not going to cut into this cake in this video, but I will provide a link underneath this video in the description box. It'll be a clickable link. You can click that and it'll take you directly to the next video where I'm going to be using this cake. So just to end up the video, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so that we can take a nice look. So I'm just going to give this a little spin. I've just zoomed in. Hopefully you can see how nice this cake is. I'll just lift it up a little bit. And what I thought I would do is, once I do the other video and I've cut into this, I'm going to add on a little section of video of me cutting into it, and I'll add it on to the end of this video, so after this portion here, so that you can actually see what this cake looks like inside. So at this point I'm going to end off the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out the next video where I use this cake. A clickable link will be down in the description box. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Before I continue, I'm just going to bring over the middle section of the cake that we cut, because in the previous video I did promise that I would come back and show how nice this cake is inside, even though we had a little bit of depression in the middle. So I'm just going to zoom in so that we can look at this cake really close up. So I've just zoomed in to show you how nice this cake is inside. I'll just give it a little squish and you can see how moist this cake is, and very, very dark. A really, really nice cake. I'll just slice into it a little bit here. And look at that. Amazing. Of course I'm going to have to try a little piece. Oh wow.